Welcome to Boulder, Colorado. We have an exciting matchup available here. This is Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2012 College Championships. It's a beautiful day, and our matchup right now in pool play is Iowa versus Humboldt State. An exciting matchup. Maya Ziv, what do we expect to see out of Iowa with our Next Gen Tour Bus keys to victory?
Well, I think Iowa's key here is that they have actually already won their pool, so they need to get the rest of their roster out on the field, get their rookies and younger players some high-level experience. First of all, there's a little bit of wind picking up in this game. They need to use that to their advantage. They're a north-central team. They do well in the wind, and they're going to throw a variety of zones. They also, like we said, need to use all of their roster, get off the field as quick as they can as well to save their legs for quarters tomorrow. And they just need to come in with confidence. That's going to help them get off the field quickly. On the other hand, for Humboldt, they've been 0-3 on this weekend. They need to play their game, and their game is the deep game. They need to have their throwers taking those deep shots. They need to trust their receivers to bring them down, and they need to give their starters their rest when they can in order to maintain through the rest of the weekend. They play a slightly tight rotation with a few people playing the majority of the points. Those girls are probably quite tired at this point in the weekend, and they need to get some rest too.
Also joined by Mario O'Brien, I'm Brian Jones, bringing you all the coverage here today. The wind has been swirling a bit. We don't expect it to play too much of a role, even though Iowa is certainly used to the north-central winds. It is a beautiful day. We have seen lots of exciting games so far here on Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2012 College Championships.
Yeah, I think the wind might also work to the advantage of Humboldt State as well if they are going downwind. Those deep shots are just going to be that much more available.
Beautiful shot of our yours truly, Brian Jones, again here with Mario O'Brien, Maya Ziv, bringing you all the coverage. Humboldt State getting set to start out on offense. Iowa polling in the red, Humboldt State in the white and gold shorts. Still waiting, 1 minute left till we poll.
Maya, there's been some interesting upsets recently in the women's division. I saw Fugue just got upset, the #1 overall seed. What kind of impact does that have either for them or on the whole tournament?
I think going into this tournament that a lot of teams were expecting to have those kinds of upsets. There doesn't seem to be really a front runner at nationals this year, and so a team like Texas, who did just beat Fugue, does get the chance to take down a team like Oregon. Additionally, UBC just had a fantastic game against Michigan, beating them 15-14. And so that was another upset there. Both of those pools, we actually thought initially that Pool C would be the only one to go to seed, and now it looks like UBC might have messed that up a little bit for Michigan to take the top spot there. It just is so critical for teams to stay out of pre-quarters. We've already seen teams being affected, getting tired. One less game is going to make all the difference for those teams.
And we're ready to go. The poll goes up. Humboldt State coming in on offense. Hyde centering the disc. Moving it upfield. Horizontal stack for Humboldt State. Quick movement here and an overthrow early on.
Unfortunate mistake there for Humboldt State. They had great initial spacing, allowing their cutters to make throws downfield. Just an unfortunate turnover.
Yeah, that's some of the mistakes that have been plaguing them this weekend. Usually they are incredibly consistent. They were one of the top teams out of the Southwest region, an incredibly competitive region, and here they are at nationals. A little bit of jitters, perhaps. A lot of these girls haven't been here before, and they're just making mistakes, but that's a great opportunity right here for Humboldt.
Humboldt State getting it right back. Forcing it up, goal line, Ide looking for the break. Instead finds a wide open cutter for the score. Humboldt State goes up 1-0 over Iowa.
It's a good place for Humboldt to be. They were able to get that disc back and put away a point. They're going to have to keep up this confidence if they're going to win this game.
Georgina Tetlow comes down with the score for Humboldt. Hags 1, Stassi Nancy 0.
You know, that play was set up by that nice inside-out forehand fake. The defender got caught looking at the thrower. She bit hard. The receiver also made a good read, knowing that the defender was looking at the disc. She turned around, went the other way, created the goal. Excellent fundamentals there from the handler to create that opening.
Yeah, we should expect a lot of that from Heidi. She's probably their top thrower on this team. She's got great deep shots. I talked to her a little bit before this game. She says she's a little bit nervous with the wind, especially going upwind at times, but she's looking forward to making those smart deep shots. So hopefully we'll see a lot of that from her as well.
Humboldt State holding early on in offense. Now we'll get to see
Number 20, Christina
Iowa's
Heidi.
offensive line step on the field.
Humboldt.
Just about the brick mark, center for Iowa. Swing pass to the right side of the field. Big layout. Can't quite get the grab, and Humboldt State has an opportunity to break on the second point of the game. Johnston. Back to Heidi. And a drop. Hannon with the drop
Nice step in deep
for
for
Humboldt
Iowa.
State, and Iowa trying to capitalize immediately, sending it deep. Just too far for the intended receiver.
You know, that was a beautiful throw. The wind just got a piece of it at the very end, just out of the reach of her receiver.
Johnston swinging it around. Iowa running a zone, trying to use this wind to their advantage. Heidi. Looking around, finally finding Handler back.
Speaking with Iowa coach Michael Lunn before this game, he said he was incredibly excited to try out some of their zones. They're a North Central team. They love this wind. We're going to see a lot of different variations of zone today. This one seems to be really effectively shutting down Humboldt. They're swinging it back and forth pretty well, but they haven't been able to gain much up the field.
Johnston now with a disc. Humboldt State not being able to solve anything here, just dink and dunk passes.
You know, Humboldt State's doing just a little too much horizontal right now, horizontal passes. They're not even looking downfield when they catch the disc. And also, I'd like to see their dump cuts crash into the cup so they have momentum going forward. You can see that most of the Humboldt offensive players now are all in a small little box, and that's not what you want with zone offense. Zone offense, your advantage is when you spread out the defense, because that's going to create holes everywhere. Defensively, you'd like to be playing in a small little box. 7-on-7 in a small little box is much easier for the defense. If you spread it out, the advantage goes to the offense.
And I think part of that is they rely a lot on Heidi to make those big plays, and so you'll see the handlers that get swung to on the sideline look right back to her immediately to make something happen. There's a few holes in this cup that they're not taking advantage of. I'd also like to see some deep shots from Heidi. I think she can get over that cup. Just need to have her cutters go deep for that.
You said Heidi keeps getting the disc back here, not moving. Finally, Humboldt State finds a little bit of room.
Heidi's doing a good job staying available, but losing yards every time. She could just step right into that cup and the defense would back off as soon as she caught it. Those yards are really an advantage. I mean, that's going to eliminate entire throws if you can get those yards each time.
Putting it deep as a receiver. Beautiful hawk for the score, and Humboldt State is up 2-0.
That's Humboldt's game right there. Get the disc to Heidi, have her send it deep. I'm surprised she didn't try it before, but it worked out perfectly for her there. That was, you know, talking to her before the game, saying she wanted to take those smart, deep shots. That's exactly what she did right there. That was a great offensive point for Humboldt.
Yeah, as much as we may have been critical about their strategy and their setup, what they did execute perfectly was patience. They only threw very, very high percentage throws, and that, even though it was a huck, was a high percentage throw. It's your best thrower. Casual forehand huck on target.
And I think one of the mistakes that Iowa made in that point was overthrowing some of their players. This is the 4th game that these teams have had. This is the high Colorado air. You know, it's easy for throwers to overthrow players at this point. The cutters are pretty tired, and Humboldt was patient enough to wait for the perfect opportunity to take advantage of that deep shot.
Iowa's offensive line back on the field.
Heidi Halverson on the reception in the end zone for Humboldt State. Sorry about that, Heidi. It took me a minute.
Iowa not coming out sharp. And I'm sure that you can attribute that to them knowing that this game means nothing.
The #1 seed locked up. It looks like we're going to see some even playing time and some opportunities. Iowa taking a shot early in the possession. Foul called on the play.
Coming in on 0.
Toig moving it upfield after taking the shot. Foul was called and comes back. Novak. Big grab by Toig. Hammer over to the back corner for the score. Iowa gets on the board, 2-1. Humboldt State leads.
That's Chelsea Tuick for you. She is one of Iowa's best players. She's a great receiver. She plays fearlessly. She's not afraid to take those shots. We don't see too many hammers or upside down throws in the women's game. Expect a lot of those from Tuick.
Humboldt State with a 2-1 one-break lead. Again, we're here in Boulder, Colorado. Brian Jones here with Mario O'Brien and Maya Ziv.
Maya, the women's division is crazy. You know, you look at the men's division, I think all 4 #1 seeds in the pools have held serve. Now you look at the women's pools. 1 seed in Pool A, Oregon, lost a game.
Just now to Texas, actually.
The 1 seed in this pool was Washington, lost a game. The 1 seed in the C pool is 2-1. The 3 seed in that pool is 3-0. And then Pool D is equally as crazy. Tufts, the 4 seed in their pool, is right now winning the pool at 3-1. It just shows the parity that there is in women's ultimate.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially this year. There's just, like we said, there isn't one front runner. Any of these teams has a chance at any point. Humboldt State, especially in this game, must be incredibly excited being up on Iowa right now. They're 0-3 so far, but here they're coming out fired up and confident. This game could easily go to Humboldt State if they stay fired up like this.
After an offside call, Iowa has to repull. Heidi picking up the disc. Johansson. The field for Heidi, finding some separation in that cup.
Heidi's going to have some crazy stats this game. If you want to check out stats for this game, you can check it out on leaguevine.com. They're keeping live updates of stats, goals, assists, touches, everything. Take a look at Heidi's stat line after this game. She's touching it basically every other. She's throwing their goals. Primetime player.
That being said, I'd like to see a little bit more out of Natalie Green. She's number 4, another big player for Humboldt. Those two work together incredibly efficiently. And so to see Natalie not have too many touches on the disc yet is a little bit surprising. She's working it up that sideline pretty well. So hopefully they work a little bit better together.
Even without the zone, Heidi is touching it every other. Johansson, though, getting some space. Phipps, Heidi. Catching it close to the ground. It's Green. Back to Heidi. Just on the goal line, Humboldt State now up 3-1.
Number 20, Kristen Heidi into the end zone. Number 23, MC Hannon on the catch for the Humboldt State score.
That's Heidi's 3rd assist of the game already. If they're going to win, it's got to be through her, and that's obviously their plan. I think you're right, Maya, that she's going to need some support, but right now she's in the zone.
Definitely. She's going to have to dig deep and maintain the whole game. I think she's ready to do that. She's been doing it all season, especially at regionals and their conference championship, where they got 1st in their conference championship, 2nd in the Southwest. She was a huge player for them all along, and looks like there's no difference here. It's paying off for them in this game. Now, Mario, if you're Iowa at this point, are you worried about this score? You've already won the pool. What's your main concern in this game?
My main concern, if I'm Iowa, is managing this game appropriately. It's really easy to, when you win the pool, to say, okay, we're going to get everyone equal playing time. But you need to be really careful about the mentality that can create. You need to be smart about the goals that you're setting for the game. You need to make small, manageable goals so that your players can still feel like they're succeeding at something. Because it's going to be really weird for them to know that they won the pool and then have to go into their next game feeling like they just lost and like things weren't clicking. So it's truly on the leadership to make this game still useful and continue the momentum that they have for next game. So I'll be interested to see how they manage the game. The easy call is, of course, equal playing time, but truly they need to make sure that they're able to capitalize and use this game to build their momentum as they move into the bracket.
Miner with the assist for Iowa. Iowa closing the gap to within 1 early on in this game. Last round of the day we have for pool play, everything getting tied up here at Nationals. We have pre-quarters after this. I'm sure we'll see some exciting matchups. Maya, who are you looking for coming out of pre-quarters?
I think it depends really on this last round. Like we said, there's a bunch of pools that are still sort of in flux. So coming out of pre-quarters into quarters, I'm looking forward to see, like we said, the #1 seeds in each pool. So I'm hoping to see some Michigan, some Washington, and some Oregon, Iowa, obviously. I'd like to see Wisconsin. They've had a little bit of trouble this weekend. Ohio State has actually been blowing up, so it would be really great for them to get out of pre-quarters. And then also North Carolina. They had a really great game against Michigan yesterday, even though they lost. They're showing that they've got a lot going for them. Shelly Cohen and Lindsay Lang for North Carolina are big players, and it would be exciting to see them make it to quarters.
Sarah Timko to pull for Iowa.
Iowa getting set here on defense. Centers to Heidi immediately for Humboldt State, and another zone look by Iowa. Going through the zone, Phipps. Going back to Johansson. Looking for Heidi. Heidi, the big thrower here. And critical so far for Humboldt State's success in this game. Zone differing now. The dump swing is working well for Humboldt State. An interesting change up in zone for Iowa. Heidi. Phipps.
I think we talked about how Heidi isn't afraid to lose yards on those dumps, but I think that against a team that is playing a tighter zone, maybe more of their starters, that's not going to work out for them. They are traveling down the field quite efficiently now, but if they had a point like they did in a few points ago, a better team will get those layout Ds and make those throws a lot more difficult.
And the defense really isn't doing anything to keep it out of ID's hands. You know, if you're going to run a zone, you've got to take something away, and right now they're allowing ID to just control the disc and control the offense.
Turnover for Humboldt State. Iowa getting a chance to get their break back. Seen a lot of patience here by this Humboldt State team there. Just an unfortunate drop.
Yeah, sometimes the numbers game just works. The more passes you throw, eventually there might be a turnover. In that case, Humboldt State took about 30 throws just to get their yards and dropped it.
Throwaway gives it back to Humboldt State. ID picking it up off the sideline. Trapped against man defense now for Iowa. ID looking for the dump. Cut falls down, defender falls down. Green up to ID. ID dominating here on this offensive possession. Io break, caught just outside the end zone. Looking for ID in isolation, and ID adds 1 goal to her 3 assists. Humboldt State leads 4-2.
You know, watching that inside-out break by ID really remind me of one of the great break throwers at the club level, and that's Alex Snyder. She plays for Fury. She is absolutely unmarkable for a couple reasons. One, she has all the technique. 2, she's tall, which makes it even easier to break, and ID has that same advantage. I could see ID being a great handler at the club level.
Speaking of Alex Snyder, she actually coaches Wisconsin Belladonna. We actually just saw some results. Looks like Wisconsin will actually end up taking 4th in their pool because Ohio State dominated a few teams on their way. They're currently set at 2nd. We'll see how these next rounds finish up. Ohio State is currently playing Texas. Because Texas beat Oregon, those 3 teams are moving on, and we can talk to you guys a little bit more about that after these messages.
We'll see if Iowa can stop ID. We'll be back in a break. Next Gen Network's coverage of the 2012 College Championships. And we're back here in Boulder. I'm Brian Jones here with Mario Bryan and Maya Ziv. We're here watching Humboldt State take an early 4-2 lead over Iowa. Seems an exciting action so far. ID absolutely dominating for Humboldt State, slashing through the zone there in isolation in the end zone, getting the last goal for Humboldt.
Dominant is the right word when you talk about ID. I don't think I've seen a player, at least not on the showcase field, maybe a handler at this tournament who's as dominant and as much of a central focus as ID is for this team. She's obviously the best player on the field right now.
Getting set to pull. Seen a lot of zone early on from Iowa, but mostly man defense from Humboldt. Iowa has not been very patient, taking shots deep.
On the pull for Humboldt.
Pull rolls out of bounds, giving good field position for Humboldt State. Their defense trying to lock down.
No, that's a great pull. Got him pinned on the sideline near the end zone. That's about as good as you can ask for.
Schrader getting it off the line. Big poach D by Humboldt State.